I wish I could say I saw it coming. Maybe then it wouldn't have hit me like a freight train going full speed straight into my gut. But no, I was the perfect fool in my own home. You know that moment when your gut clenches, but your mind tries to calm you down, saying, "No way, you're just being paranoid"? Yeah, I ignored that voice for far too long. It started, like most tragedies, with something small. Innocent, even. Her name is Emily. My wife, or at least that's what I thought she was. To me, she was everything. My love, my partner, my reason to push harder at work, to build a future. We've been married for 7 years. 7 years, man. They say it's the 7-year itch. I thought it was just a stupid joke people make at dinner parties. Turns out it's real. And in my case, it was an open wound she kept digging into with a smile on her face. One evening, I came home early from a business trip. Flight got rescheduled, and I figured, hey, surprise her. Maybe we'll have a cozy night in. Yeah, right. Best laid plans of fools and faithful husbands. As I turned the key, my heart was actually light. I even picked up her favorite wine on the way. Funny, isn't it? How a man can be preparing a romantic evening while his whole world is about to go up in flames. The house was too quiet when I stepped in. I called out, "Em? I'm home early." No answer. Not even her usual. Slightly annoyed. "What are you doing back already?" I figured she might be in the shower, but something didn't sit right. You ever get that creeping chill down your spine, like you're walking into a room full of ghosts? I walked past the living room and saw her purse tossed carelessly on the couch. Her keys were there too, so she hadn't gone out. Then I noticed the jacket. A man's jacket. Definitely not mine. I froze. My fingers brushed over the rough fabric. My brain scrambled for explanations. Maybe her brother? But her brother lives 3 states away. Maybe a friend? No, it didn't add up. My heart pounded in my chest like a war drum. That's when I heard it. Faint laugh. A man's laugh. From upstairs. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I'd be sick right there on the floor. I couldn't breathe, but I forced my legs to move, one heavy step at a time, up the staircase that suddenly felt like it stretched for miles. As I reached the bedroom door, it hit me. Reality. Like a slap to the face. There was movement behind the door. Shadows dancing against the faint light spilling from under it. I stood there for a second, hand on the knob, heart punching against my ribs so hard I thought it might break free. I pushed the door open. There they were. Emily, my Emily, tangled up with some guy I'd never seen before in my life. His stupid smirk still haunts me. And her? She didn't even flinch. Didn't pull the sheets over herself. Didn't scream in shock. No. She looked me dead in the eyes with a kind of defiance that burned straight through my soul. Like I was the intruder in my own life. "Guess you're home early," she said. Like it was some casual inconvenience. Can you believe that? That tone in her voice. So cold. So detached. Like I was interrupting her hair appointment or something. The guy had the nerve to smirk wider, like he won a prize at the fair. I wanted to put my fist through his smug face, but I was too numb, too frozen in place, watching the whole scene unfold like some sick movie. And in that moment, everything inside me shattered. 7 years of memories, promises, dreams we built together. Gone. Just like that. My throat was dry as sandpaper. And for a moment I honestly couldn't tell if I was going to scream, cry, or just collapse on the floor right there. But I didn't do any of that. Instead, I just stared. Stared at this pathetic excuse of a man, tangled in my sheets, and at Emily, who, unbelievably, didn't even try to look ashamed. She casually brushed her hair behind her ear like she'd just finished a yoga session and not whatever you'd call the circus act I just walked in on. Her eyes had this bored glint, like my entire world burning to ashes in front of her wasn't worth even the courtesy of fake regret. That hurt more than seeing them together. I finally found my voice, though it came out hoarse and cracked. "Who the hell is this?" I forced the words through gritted teeth, my hands trembling at my sides. The guy didn't bother answering. He just leaned back on the headboard, hands laced behind his head, completely unbothered. Emily, with a slow, irritating smile that made my blood boil, shrugged like she was explaining the weather. "This is Jake," she said. as if that clarified everything. Jake. Of course his name was Jake. I felt something in me snap, like a brittle twig under too much weight. Jake? I repeated, almost choking on the taste of it. You brought Jake into our bed. Our bed? She scoffed, her lips curling into that same cruel smirk. Please, don't make this more dramatic than it is, Michael. Michael. Hearing her say my name like that, so empty of affection, so poisoned with contempt, was a knife twisted in my chest. What the hell is wrong with you, Emily? My voice rose, the pain finally boiling over into anger. 7 years. 7 damn years. And this is what you do. She rolled her eyes. I swear to God. She actually rolled her eyes at me. Oh, spare me the victim speech. You were always so predictable, Michael. Work, dinner, sleep, repeat. You thought that was enough for me? Her voice dripped with venom, every word slicing deeper than the last. I felt my fists clench involuntarily. Not that I'd ever raise my hand to her, no, never. But the rage inside me was white-hot, searing through my veins, begging for an outlet. And this? I spat, gesturing toward Jake, who still lounged there like he owned the place. This is your solution? To sneak around behind my back and ruin everything we built together. Ruin? She barked out a laugh loud, sharp, like shattering glass. Michael, it was ruined long before Jake ever set foot in this house. I was just done pretending. Her words hit me harder than any punch could have. I had no idea when the pretending started for her. No clue when she decided to start living this secret life while I was out there busting my back to give us everything she ever wanted. And you never thought to talk to me about it? I shot back, my voice thick with disbelief. You just, what? Decide to throw away our marriage like yesterday's trash? No conversation, no warning, just this. Jake finally decided to open his mouth, his tone smug and patronizing. Maybe if you'd paid her a little more attention, buddy, she wouldn't have needed me. That did it. I lunged at him before I could think twice, grabbing him by the collar and slamming him against the wall so hard the picture frames rattled. His smirk vanished as he stammered, but I didn't hear a word he said. My heart was thundering in my ears, my vision blurred with fury. Get out, I growled through gritted teeth. Before I do something we'll both regret. Jake scrambled to gather his clothes, suddenly not so confident anymore, while Emily watched the scene unfold with detached amusement, like it was all just an entertaining show. No fear, no shame, just icy indifference. As he rushed out the door, I turned to her, breathless, my chest heaving. You think this is funny? You think this is some game, Emily? She tilted her head, eyes cold and sharp as knives. No, Michael. I think this is freedom. Those words were the final nail in the coffin. My mind was racing, but at the same time, everything around me felt frozen, like I was standing in the middle of a wreckage, smoke still curling up from the ruins, debris of our life scattered everywhere. I kept staring at her, trying to find a trace of the woman I married, but she wasn't there anymore. Maybe she never was. Freedom, I echoed, my voice barely a whisper, raw from the storm brewing inside me. Is that what you call this? Betrayal? Deception? You call this freedom? She crossed her arms, still so infuriatingly composed, like she wasn't the villain in this story. Michael, she sighed, like she was talking to a child who couldn't understand simple things. You always lived in this fantasy world, where you thought being a loyal husband was enough to keep me happy. I could barely believe what I was hearing. Enough? Emily, I gave you everything. Every damn thing you ever asked for. A house, a life, security. And this is how you repay me. She laughed. A cold, hollow sound that felt like ice water being poured over my head. You think I cared about the house? The car? The vacations? Michael, you never saw me. Not really. You saw what you wanted to see. The perfect little wife who waited at home while you worked late, who smiled at family dinners. But you never saw what was underneath. Her words were like knives, each one finding its mark with brutal precision. And Jake, she continued, her eyes narrowing slightly. Jake saw me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tear down the walls of that bedroom with my bare hands. Jake saw you for what you are. I snapped, my voice hoarse with rage. A liar, a manipulator, a selfish, cold-hearted. Careful, she interrupted, her tone razor-sharp, a smirk playing on her lips. Don't say something you'll regret. I took a step back, shaking my head, disgust knotting in my stomach. The air in the room felt too thick, every breath a battle. I never thought I'd see this side of her. I thought I knew Emily better than anyone, but the woman standing in front of me was a stranger. Someone who wore my wife's face but none of her warmth. You planned this? I said slowly, realization dawning like a cruel sun. You've been planning this for a long time. She didn't deny it, not even a flicker of remorse in her expression. Of course I did, she admitted shamelessly. Do you think things like this happen overnight? I've been waiting for the right moment. For years. Her audacity left me breathless. She planned this, methodically, deliberately. She'd been weaving this web right under my nose while I was busy building a future for us. All the late nights at the office, the weekends I spent handling extra projects to afford the vacations she wanted. She used that time to construct her betrayal piece by piece. You are disgusting. I spat, every muscle in my body tensed with fury. And you? She countered, her eyes flashing. Are pathetic. It wasn't even the words. It was the way she said them, like she truly believed it, like she saw me as some broken man beneath her contempt. That was when something inside me shifted. The raw pain, the consuming rage. They didn't disappear, no, but they cooled into something sharper, something deadlier than fire. Cold, clear ice that allowed me to think past the blinding haze of betrayal. Get out. I told her quietly, dangerously calm. Get out of my house. Right now. But Emily, true to her venomous nature, didn't budge. She only sneered, running her fingers through her hair with calculated defiance. No, she said simply. I think you should leave. I stared at her, dumbfounded, as she had the gall to sit on the edge of our bed like she owned everything. What? You heard me, she said, her voice like a whip. Pack your things, Michael. You're the one who's leaving. For a heartbeat, I couldn't breathe. The sheer audacity of her stunned me into silence. But then the ice inside me cracked into something even more dangerous. Resolve. You'll regret this, Emily, I said quietly, not a threat, but a promise forged in steel. Every single word, every choice you made, you'll feel it all come crashing down. She just smirked, oblivious. We'll see about that. I didn't answer her. I didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me argue, beg, or even explain myself. Something inside me had shifted so completely, so irreversibly, that her words barely touched me anymore. It was like watching a cheap actor overplay their role in a bad drama. I saw straight through her, and she wasn't even worth my breath. I turned, walked out of the bedroom, and went straight to the study. My mind, once tangled in knots of pain and confusion, was now cutting through every thought with terrifying clarity. Revenge. Not blind rage. Not messy, emotional outbursts. No, precision. Patience. A slow burn that would devour everything she thought she controlled. I pulled out my old locked drawer. She never bothered with it, too busy parading around with her newfound freedom. Inside was everything she never thought I'd need. Copies of house deeds, bank accounts, investments. Every asset we shared, every piece of our so-called life meticulously documented. My fingers moved fast. I gathered everything, packed it methodically. I wasn't going to shout at her or throw things like some madman. No, that would be giving her power. She thrived on drama, on making me lose control so she could play the victim later. Not this time. As I worked, I could hear her in the bedroom, laughing on the phone with Jessica. Of course, Jessica, the mastermind behind it all, probably celebrating like they had won some grand victory. Yeah, he totally lost it. Emily's voice rang out, sharp and smug. Honestly, I thought he'd cry or something, but he just stood there like a kicked puppy. Jessica laughed through the speaker, a shrill sound that made my blood run colder than ice. He'll crawl back, Jessica sneered. They always do, especially guys like Michael. Spineless. I tightened my grip on the folder until my knuckles turned white. Spineless? I was about to show them both exactly how wrong they were. I finished packing the essentials, took my bag, and walked past the bedroom one last time. She was lounging on the bed, phone pressed to her ear, eyes full of poison. She saw me pass and waved her fingers at me like I was a servant carrying out her luggage. "Don't forget to leave your keys, Michael," she said sweetly, her tone soaked in mockery. I stopped, turned slowly, looked at her, really looked at her. Not the woman I loved, but the parasite she had become. "You enjoy this, don't you?" I asked quietly, my voice calm, almost conversational. She raised an eyebrow, smirking like the devil himself. "What's not to enjoy?" Her answer didn't surprise me. No, confirmed what I already knew in my bones. She was gone, lost to her own selfish hunger for control, for cheap thrills, for the kind of power that only lasts until the walls cave in. I gave her a slow nod, not of agreement, but of acknowledgement, like a soldier recognizing his enemy before the final battle. "Good," I said softly. "Enjoy it while it lasts." Without another word, I left the house. My house, for now. But in my mind I was already constructing the endgame. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. As I drove away, my heart should have been heavy with sorrow, but instead, it felt lighter. Strange, wasn't it? That the moment you finally accept the truth, as brutal as it is, you start to feel free. She thought she broke me. She thought she humiliated me. She had no idea. Because while she played her childish games, while she basked in her shallow victory, I was already planning her downfall. Not just hers, but Jessica's too. Two snakes tangled in their own poisonous lies, thinking they owned the world. Let them laugh tonight. Let them toast their little betrayal. Their storm was coming, and I would be the one bringing the thunder. I didn't go far. I pulled over just a few blocks away from the house and killed the engine. My hands were still trembling, but not from weakness, from the sheer force of everything boiling beneath my skin. This wasn't panic. No, this was something purer, colder, focused. I sat there, staring through the windshield, playing every moment back in my mind. Her smirk, Jessica's laughter in the background, Jake's smug grin like he'd just won some prize at my expense. They thought they had me figured out, thought I was the predictable husband, the steady one, the fool who would swallow it all and fade quietly into the background while they trampled over my life. They were dead wrong. I took out my phone, scrolling through my contacts until I found exactly who I needed. There's one thing about being a husband who works too much. You meet people, lawyers, accountants, private investigators, people who know how to clean up messes and expose dirty secrets. I dialed. The voice on the other end was brisk, professional. "Michael, I was wondering when you'd call." No need for pleasantries. He already knew. Small town, fast news. "I need everything," I said, my voice flat. "I want the bank accounts, her hidden cards, property records, any social media she's hiding, messages, emails, everything." There was a short pause, then, "Understood. You'll have a report within 48 hours. I hung up without saying goodbye. There was something viciously satisfying in that moment. Knowing I was already moving, already setting things in motion while she probably still lay on our bed, basking in her false sense of victory. She had no idea I had just pulled the first thread that would unravel her entire little kingdom of lies. As I stared at the phone in my hand, another idea sparked. A dangerous, brilliant idea. Jessica, the puppet master, the one who whispered poison in Emily's ear, feeding her fantasies of freedom, of thrill, of rebellion. Jessica loved control. It was obvious in every smug word she spoke. And people like her? They always have secrets. Dark, dirty little secrets they pray never see daylight. I texted Eric, my friend since college, the one man I could trust in this disaster. "Need a favor. Find out everything you can about Jessica." Discreetly, his reply came fast. "You got it. Any particular dirt you're hoping for?" "Everything. The messier, the better." If Emily wanted to play with fire, I'd burn her whole little empire down with it. I leaned back in the seat and exhaled slowly, feeling, for the first time in days, like I could actually breathe. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was planning. I was taking back control. This wasn't about rage anymore. This was about justice. For every sleepless night I spent worrying about her. For every time I trusted her lies. For every moment I defended her to people who saw what I refused to see. It would all come back around. And here's the thing about people like Emily and Jessica. They never see it coming. They think they're smarter than everyone else, that they're untouchable because they play dirty while everyone else plays fair. But I had just decided. I wasn't playing fair anymore. A notification popped up on my screen. A photo from Eric already, Jessica at some upscale bar, too close to a man who wasn't her boyfriend. Perfect. Another text followed. She's got skeletons, all right? Should I dig deeper? Dig until you hit the basement, I replied. My pulse quickened, not with fear, but with anticipation. Every second brought me closer to turning the tables. I looked out the windshield at the dark sky overhead. Storm clouds were gathering, and I welcomed them. They thought they'd broken me. They didn't realize they had just set me free. The next morning, I woke up to a full inbox. Eric had worked through the night like a man on a mission, and what he found was even better than I'd hoped. Screenshots, bank statements, photos. Jessica wasn't just a snake. She was a snake with a leaking venom sac. Dirty dealings, unpaid debts, a few sketchy connections to people with questionable backgrounds. She had skeletons all right, and Eric had unearthed the whole graveyard. One photo, in particular, hit me like a shot of adrenaline straight to the heart. Jessica wasn't just advising Emily on her betrayal. She was neck-deep in her own mess. Affairs, fraud, and, to top it off, a few compromising videos that, if leaked, would absolutely destroy her carefully curated image. I stared at the images, feeling a cold, dark satisfaction settle over me. They played games in the dark, thinking no one would ever dare turn the lights on. Well, guess what? I was the switch. I forwarded the evidence to a secure cloud, then crafted an anonymous email. No threats, no theatrics, just attachments and a short, brutal message. Control is an illusion. Consider this a preview. I knew Jessica would see it. And panic. Panic spreads fast. And with Jessica rattled, Emily would feel it too. These two fed off each other, like parasites in a shared host. Crack one, and the other shatters right alongside her. Just as I hit send, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered, and there she was, Jessica. Her voice tight, stripped of its usual smug confidence. "What the hell do you think you're doing, Michael?" she snapped, skipping right over greetings. I almost laughed at how fast she cracked. "Cleaning house," I said simply. "You're making a mistake," she hissed. "You think you can just scare me? You think I'll crawl because you dug up a few dirty secrets? You're already crawling," I replied coldly. "And I haven't even started." There was a beat of silence on the line, just long enough to tell me my words hit home. She knew. She knew I wasn't bluffing. I could practically hear her calculating, scrambling for some angle to twist this around. But this time there was no way out. "You're pathetic," she spat finally, but the venom in her words sounded more like fear. I hung up without another word. Step 1. Complete. Next came Emily. I had thought about it all night, replaying every vile sentence she threw at me, every smug look, every moment she disrespected everything we built. And now it was time for her to feel the weight of her choices. I went back to the house, not like a man returning home, but like a general returning to claim victory on a battlefield. I could see her through the front window, pacing the living room, her phone glued to her ear, panic etched across her face. Jessica had clearly called her already. I walked in without knocking, without hesitation. She turned to me, eyes wide, mouth open like she was about to unleash another one of her rehearsed performances. But this time I didn't give her the chance. "I know everything," I said, my voice calm, lethal. "Jessica's mess. Your lies. Jake's pathetic attempts at playing man of the house. It's over, Emily." She faltered, her confidence slipping like sand through her fingers. "You think you're clever, don't you?" she snapped, but her voice wavered. "No," I corrected, stepping closer, watching her shrink under the weight of her collapsing empire. "I'm not clever. I'm thorough." I dropped a folder onto the coffee table between us. Bank records, affair timelines, Jessica's little indiscretions, all laid bare. The color drained from her face as she flipped through the pages. "You wanted freedom?" I continued. "Now you're free. Free from our home, our accounts, and every bit of security you took for granted." Her lips trembled, but she clenched her jaw, still trying to hold onto a shred of power. "You think this will break me?" "It already has," I said, turning away. As I walked out the door, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Not rage, not sorrow. Peace. The kind of peace that comes only after you've burned down every last bridge and watched the fire consume the poison on the other side. And I realized then, this wasn't just my revenge. This was my rebirth. I didn't even bother to look back as I closed the door behind me. I wanted that to be the last image she ever had of me. Walking away, not defeated, but untouchable. There's something powerful in that moment when you finally stop carrying someone else's sins on your shoulders and leave them to drown in their own mess. The air outside felt cleaner than it had in weeks. I filled my lungs with it, feeling a weight lift off my chest that had been pressing me down for far too long. My phone buzzed in my pocket. "Eric, again. You're going to want to see this," the message read. He had attached a video. I played it, my heart already bracing for whatever blow was coming next. But it wasn't a blow. It was confirmation that the dominoes were falling exactly as I planned. There she was, Emily. In the video, she stood in front of her parents, who looked absolutely furious, as they tore into her with disappointment sharper than any blade. Her father, usually a calm man, was red-faced and shouting, waving the evidence I had sent them earlier. Her mother's eyes were full of tears, but not for Emily. No, those tears were for me. The man they had trusted to take care of their daughter. The man they now realized she had betrayed with disgusting ease. And Jessica? Oh, Jessica had problems of her own. Eric had managed to leak just the right pieces of her dirty laundry to the right people. Sponsors were pulling out of her little side business. Her boyfriend dumped her in public. Her carefully constructed world of false superiority was crumbling into ash, just as planned. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was justice. My pulse steadied. The rage that once consumed me now cooled into precise satisfaction. I wasn't blinded by anger. I saw everything with perfect clarity. Emily tried to call me 4 times that evening. I let it ring. I wanted her to sit there with her thoughts, with her shame, with the storm she had called down on herself. Eventually, she sent a message. No insults this time. No mocking tones. "Michael, please, can we talk?" No, we could not. I deleted the message without reading further. Let her drown in silence. Later that night, I stood alone in a small hotel room, the city lights flickering outside my window. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could actually think about tomorrow without feeling like I was suffocating. I thought about what I had lost, sure, but more importantly, I thought about what I had gained. Clarity, strength, freedom. Not the kind Emily lied about, not the filthy excuse for freedom she twisted to justify her betrayal. No, this was real freedom. The freedom of a man who had seen hell and walked through it without burning. I poured myself a glass of scotch, stared out at the skyline, and allowed myself a thin, tired smile. They thought they broke me. They thought I'd fall apart, curl up, disappear. But here I was, standing tall, breathing, alive. I made a quiet promise to myself, right there in that hotel room. Never again. Never again would I let someone like her into my life. Never again would I turn a blind eye to the warning signs. Never again would I build my world around someone who only saw me as a tool to be used and discarded. I didn't just survive her betrayal. I transformed because of it. And maybe, just maybe, in the strangest twist of fate, I should thank her for it. Because by trying to destroy me, she had unknowingly set me free. Some wounds don't bleed on the outside. They cut you in places no one else can see, deep under the surface, where they fester quietly. For weeks, maybe months, you carry them around like invisible chains, pretending you're fine, while inside you're drowning. That's what it felt like at first. But standing there, in that small, quiet hotel room, something inside me finally let go. It wasn't instant. No dramatic burst of relief. No fireworks of healing. Just a simple, steady release. Like taking off a heavy coat after walking through a storm. I realized something most people don't learn until it's too late. You can't control the darkness in someone else's heart. You can give them your loyalty, your trust, your love, but if they crave destruction, they'll burn it all anyway just to feel the fire. Emily wasn't looking for happiness. She was looking for chaos. Jessica fed that craving, and I let it happen because I believed too much in the good that never really existed in her. But not anymore. If you're reading this, if you've ever felt that gut-wrenching moment when the person you trusted the most turns on you like a stranger with a knife, listen to me carefully. Don't run from the pain. Don't numb it. Don't let it make you bitter. Let it sharpen you. Let it carve out the parts of you that were too trusting, too blind, too forgiving. Because once the storm passes, and it will pass, you'll find something stronger beneath the wreckage. Yourself. Not the version of you that tried to save someone who didn't want saving. Not the version of you that tolerated disrespect disguised as love. No, the real you. The one who knows better now. The one who will never let anyone clip your wings again. Emily and Jessica thought they were clever. Thought they could humiliate me. Use me as their stepping stone while they climbed their pathetic little ladder of betrayal. But in the end, they exposed only themselves. Emily lost everything. Her fake confidence, her reputation, her home. Her parents disowned her when they saw the truth. Jessica's carefully built facade crumbled like sand in the wind. Without their lies holding them up, they collapsed under the weight of their own emptiness. And me? I didn't just survive. I became untouchable. There's a power in walking away with your head held high, in knowing you've seen the worst someone could throw at you, and you're still standing. No, better than that, you're walking taller than you ever have before. The next chapter of my life is mine alone to write. No compromises, no shadows creeping in, no masks hiding venomous smiles. Just honesty, strength, freedom in its purest form. And if you're ever faced with a choice, to sink into despair or rise with quiet fury, choose the second one. Every time, use the fire they tried to burn you with to light your way forward. You'll thank yourself later. As for Emily, as for Jessica, as for every Jake who thinks he's clever, let them rot in the ruins they built for themselves. Because trust me when I say this, nothing destroys people like them faster than watching you live better without them. That's the real revenge. And it tastes better than any victory they thought they won.